No, that's right.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first episode of Change Begins With Us. And our first guest, of course, will be our new Vice President, Stephanie Drew.
Hi, everybody.
She'll be discussing how to put together a parole plan in like 10 minutes. So it's a rough draft, but she will be having classes, or we'll be having classes, and maybe she could train other people to teach as well in their communities. Okay, let's share a little bit about the outline on what people need to know.
I just started with first of all, I want to tell everybody that when I started this,
Oops.
I did not know zero. I did not know anything about putting together a parole plan for anybody. I didn't know anything about the system. I just had a friend who's been locked up for many, many years. So through trial and error and phone calls and emails and more phone calls, I discovered.
And bugging me, and I knew nothing about.
And bugging James.
And I knew nothing about putting together a parole plan because I was from the inside, not the outside.
Yes.
But I did learn.
But I learned that you can't get discouraged. You can't get mad at anybody. You just have to be very nice and thank them for their time. Ask them which direction you should go next and move on. Don't get mad. Don't yell. Don't scream. Just say thank you and move on. And putting together a parole pack takes longer than a couple of weeks. I can promise you I spent almost 8 months putting together one parole pack for one person. So I came up with an outline, a table of contents of things that you need, what they need, things from your community that you need. If you've never heard of muscle sheets, I can explain how and where you'll find them. They will become your Bible, your best friend. You will have to know where to find them. And I added 3 counties of muscle sheets. They are your basic community resources to find every single thing that you need.
And it was kind of nice that they did name something after me. Muscle sheets.
I don't think they're named after you, but okay, he says they were. You really need to get information from your loved one because they're coming up with different questions now that the inmates themselves are going to be asked. So we're still waiting to hear from that. But I've added the muscle sheets, employment, how to do a resume, a cover letter. If they've been in the military, get a hold of the institution. Every institution has what are they called? A VA liaison who contacts the inmate, who is also going to become your best friend. Even though they are convicted felons, there are certain benefits they're going to be eligible for once they get out. And how to get their driver's license, how to get their Social Security cards, and how to get medical benefits, and just, different things that they're going to be eligible for upon release. And some people aren't aware of the different things that are needed and extra things, but I've just gone through a lot of different things that you can put in there. Some things you don't need, but we've added. And if you have any questions, you can inbox me. You can always call James.
Yes, you can. But you know what I was thinking is, because you're going to be running our email somewhat, if they'd like a copy, is there a way to put it on our email that we could send them a copy?
Once I figure out how to
Okay.
do that.
Or if you would like a copy, we would need to ask for the postage money as well as copy, because it's kind of thick.
Yeah. And in the outline that I came up with, I kind of put a little description of what each section is about, and where to find the different things that you need. They need to write a letter themselves. There's just all kinds of different things and little things that add up to.
Okay, what should they put in their letters?
In their personal letters, we were told to make it a one-page letter, explain the crime, but don't dwell on the crime.
And don't rationalize it if you're guilty, though.
Yeah, don't rationalize it, and don't say things like, I've done my time, I deserve to go home. Nobody deserves anything.
According to them.
According to the board. Talk about the changes that they've done over time. Talk about the things that they've done to make their lives better. And they want specific examples of 10 years ago, I got into a fight with a guy because he looked at me the wrong way, compared to now, I walked away from him, and an hour later we took a walk and we talked about it. They like to see those kinds of examples of how they've changed over time. And they don't want to know that I have a sick grandma who's dying and I need to go home. They don't care about any of that stuff. I can promise you that. Because everybody has a sick relative, a son that's graduating, a daughter that's getting married.
Even a family member that passes away.
Yeah, the board does not care about any of that. And it will always come down to the nature of the crime. And that's what we need to get them to realize. The nature of the crime may change, but the person can always change. So that's where the letters of support come in handy. The churches come in handy. Anytime you can get either a city, someone that's involved with your city. I found out that churches don't always want to provide letters of support, as sad as that sounds, but they don't.
How important is visiting or visitors?
Visitors are huge. And it doesn't have to necessarily be family members who visit, because after 20, 25, 30 years, some of these guys don't have family members, or the families have just decided they don't want to be involved anymore. But visiting when you can is important. Regular letters, regular emails, phone calls when they can. If they call you and you're able to answer, 2 minutes means the world. regular communication with the outside, whether we know it or not, it means everything to them, but also goes on their record. If someone comes up for parole and they haven't had any contact with the outside world for 10 years, and then all of a sudden his parole hearing comes up and he's got 300 letters of support, they're going to think something's fishy. So regular, it takes 5 minutes to email somebody on JPay. Literally 5 minutes. If you have the app on your phone, you can get it on your computer. Couple of lines. JPay stamps are cheaper than regular stamps.
I was accused of taking less than 5 seconds on JPay, though.
Well, it doesn't take me that long either.
Yeah,
but
when I just post thank you.
Yeah, I mean, and just say, hi, I'm thinking of you. Hope your day's going great. And their end, their kiosks are broken. They go down. They can't get in line. They only have a certain amount of time. They don't always get right back to you. And it takes a couple of hours for them to get your email. But I can promise you that if they've gotten something from you, they will make an effort to get back to you. So outside communication means probably more than putting money on their books to them.
And it's nice for the inmate, too, to have somebody that cares about them, to JPay them, send letters,
Right.
Come and visit them. and really a mentor is very helpful.
Mentors, yes.
From the community where he would be released or the community where he was convicted.
Let's try to get comments so I can see any of those comments.
Yeah, our cat is kind of being a pain right there. Why is there all games on there?
There's not.
Oh, see, I don't have games on mine because I believe in work. But
I'm trying to see some of the comments. Okay.
But part of what we're going to be doing in this organization is educating people, family members, inmates on the steps you can take to help you obtain a parole, a parole plan, as well as working on medical issues that we have been for so long and unfair treatment of inmates. We'll still handle that, but this is all about education. What's our new?
Education is the key.
That's our
mission statement.
Yeah, mission statement. And it's short. And if you read most statement missions, there are 2 or 3 letters, maybe 1 sentence at the most. But nobody wants to read anything that's 500 to 600 words like our original one was that we had to change.
I'm not seeing any because I can't.
You know, I do have Wi-Fi here.
Right? Oh, that's right. I'm not logged on to your Wi-Fi.
Now look under change begins with us under Wi-Fi and my address, 1141 Oakwood. Yeah, my Wi-Fi name is Change Begins With Us. So it was before Fair Treatment Reform and Reentry.
It doesn't matter. I'm always connected.
She's always connected.
That's right.
She's got it like that. She must have brought that once before to this house.
Yeah. I was trying to see some of the comments, and I'm not seeing them.
But I do believe that a good parole plan means a good possibility for parole. I don't believe, though, that you can necessarily talk yourself into a parole. I do believe they have their minds made up a lot of times beforehand. I could be wrong, but that's the impression I've gotten from even from the times that I went up. So, okay, more talk than staring.
I went to the family conference, and if you're not aware of the parole process to begin with, I don't claim to be an expert by any means, but I can walk you through that process as well. It's not as simple as they go to their hearing and they get a decision.
Right. And you could email us also with the information.
I can walk you through that process. You don't have to, but you're allowed to go to your own hearing, and meet with one of the parole board members
or hearing
officer, and state your case. They'll talk to you for an hour, and then they have a hearing, and then it's a very lengthy process. So don't expect, if you see on the ODRC page January 2020,
they go up 2 months earlier.
Don't expect that he's going to his hearing in January and you're going to be notified a week later.
Right.
It doesn't happen that way.
Well, they did change the policy now that they don't take you back to a full board unless if requested by the victim or the prosecutor, and they will say on or about. So it's usually 2 months now. They're back to the old way they're doing things, but quite a few people, they have had their paroles taken away by the time they went up to that 2 months.
Yeah, they're leaving it up to the prosecutor's discretion.
Right, which I personally don't believe the prosecutor should have anything to do with the parole hearing. He had his say in court.
Yeah, and usually with the old law guys, it's 20, 25, 30 years ago
right.
now.
And the new law people are going to have the same issues, and they need to be educated on what they can do. Some of them have been on, I think, 20 years now.
Right.
Because the new law took effect in 2006. No, 96.
And that's the other thing. If you're not familiar with old law, new law, inbox me. I can explain that to you because I didn't know anything about that either.
Yeah, we could share a little bit of a quick crash course on it. In 1995, the Senate and the Ohio General Assembly passed Truth in Sentencing, Senate Bill 2, which would take effect on, I think it was July 1st of 1996. And those prior to 1996, everyone had to see the parole board. And those after 1996, a lot of them, the max that they would do would be 10 years. But under the old law, they would have done 10 to 25, and they would do 25 for the most part. But those after 1996, the only ones that have to see the parole board will keep you on PRC for up to 5 years, which is still another battle, which at this time we're not going to take that on. So there is a difference, and for those that had loved ones before 1996, that is why they've been down sometimes 25, 30, 40 years, because they have to see the parole.
A lot of times the number of years they've been flopped is equal to or more than what their
quite a few times
15 to life or 20 to life is.
Yeah, I have a good friend up in Madison that's done close to what his minimum was supposed to be with flops.
Yeah, the minimums are
way over the minimums. Though.
Yeah, way over.
Now the judge sentences you to 10 to life or 15 to life. Really, you should be released at the beginning of the sentence, unless if you're known as a troublemaker during your incarceration. And we understand not everybody should be paroled because some people refuse to learn their lesson and continue to get in trouble. But I personally believe most people can change.
Right.
Hello. But um, you know, we'll be back on in a week or so. So this is very interesting, folks, and a lot of good information. Thank you.